Welcome to the My House Podcast, a show about the past, present, and future goings-on at the My House Youth Drop-In Center in Wasilla, Alaska, with your host, Michelle Overstreet.
Hi, this is Michelle Overstreet. I'm the founder and executive director at My House, and this was episode 3 of our podcast. I'm so excited today to be joined by Kristan Cole, a longtime friend and real estate network owner in the Mat-Su Valley and across Alaska. In fact, she has a nationwide real estate network and has evolved into a motivational speaker and leader, and I'm so proud to call her my friend. And I'm also very excited to talk with her today about philanthropy and why to give, maybe some tips on how you decide who to give to, and some of the dynamics around donations and giving. Before we start out with Kristan, I'd like to toss the ball over to Isaac for some housekeeping.
Thanks, Michelle. We have 2 episodes that dropped last week, both Redemption and Diagnonsense. They're second episodes out. Obviously, this week we have episode 3, which is right now, but also episode 2 of My Voice will be out shortly after we release this episode. In fact, it may be out now while you are listening, so be sure to check it out. We had another great guest on who we're not going to tell you who it is, but
I'm so excited about her story.
It was a really great episode. She probably will share that she was on, so if you are in the My House bubble, you might have an inkling, or if you know some of her story, you might know who it is. But yeah, I'm super excited about that. And obviously, looking a little bit further, episode 3 of Redemption and Diagnonsense out. We're right in the middle of everything with the podcast side of things, so make sure you're tuning into all of those. Also, we have last week was the first week that the boutique was open on Saturday. Ian, one of the managers over at the boutique, was here all Saturday. I stopped in and said, hey, because I needed construction paper for a different project. But he, it went pretty well for our first time, it sounded like. And moving forward in the upcoming Saturdays, the cafe will also be open on Saturdays. So come in, do your shopping at the boutique, go over, get yourself a coffee, or there are so many new menu items that are coming, and I'm not sure.
What's your favorite?
Well, am I allowed to talk about them?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there's the Big Mike sandwich, and I haven't even tried it yet, but I am most excited for that because I've been looking for a great lunch option other than the baked potato, because I love the baked potato, but I've been eating the baked potato too much. I just keep eating baked potatoes. They're so good. So I'm excited for that sandwich to come out. I can diversify my lunch diet a little bit. And then also, we have a partnership with Krispy Kreme, and I tried the prototype version of that today. It's a breakfast sandwich that's on a donut. I have to say, it is pretty sweet. You do need a little bit of a sweet tooth to really enjoy it, I think, but it was, I thought it was pretty fantastic. And they're doing some other stuff with that, maybe getting, I suggest we put a little bit of bacon on it. Sounds like you might be able to add some bacon to it, get like a nice little like maple bacon glaze with the donut and the egg and the cheese.
Me.
And there's another breakfast sandwich because there's like the
burrito.
Well, there's the burrito, but then there's the English
classic
muffin. Yeah,
yeah.
With the sauce. Oh, there's so many new menu items. You got to come in. You got to check it out. And that maybe ties into the last thing we have going on this month, the 25th. We're screening The Hunting Ground at 4:00. The cafe, I believe, might be staying open for a little bit extra if you're coming in around then for the start of the movie. So if you want to try any of those new menu items, they will be available on the 25th for that screening. Totally free of charge, open to the public, just in the cafe. Michelle, you've seen the film, and really, really important message, maybe even for parents that are getting ready to send kids off to college. I think it's really applicable to them.
Boy, it's and just to clarify, the film is free. The food is not.
The food is not.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
You have to pay for the food.
Yeah, but the Hunting Grounds is a film about rape on college campuses, and the focus is really teaching young people to keep your head up, to know what to be aware of, but also it amplifies the cover-ups that are so common across the country in very, very prestigious colleges, and with the message being, once that happens to you, the expectation of a lot of support can leave you falling flat. And so if you've got young people headed to college, come over, join us for the film, or you can pull it up on Amazon Prime and watch it at home. But I really encourage anyone with particularly a daughter, but also a son going to college to check it out and just make sure you're educated and aware and self-aware when you're on a college campus about the risks.
Well, that's all I have. So without any further ado, Michelle, Kristan, take it away.
Thanks for taking the time, Kristan. I know that you are crazy busy. And I'm so excited to just have your voice. And when I think about people who, walk this walk with me, but on a parallel path for a lot of the time that I've been doing this work, I think about you.
Thanks. Yeah.
And
it's funny that you reached out this week because I just had a conversation last week about, hiring an actual director to run our charity. And I also said, the pandemic really sidelined some of the things that we have done to raise money. And I'm super passionate really about two things, My House and Teen Challenge. And so I just said, I just want to get back to giving and helping organizations that are actually making a difference.
Right.
So it's just funny. And then you texted me this week. So I was like, okay, this must be a mind meld.
Oh, good. I like being on that wavelength. And I also appreciate, you're one of the women in the community that's always been supportive and encouraging. And I think it's sometimes hard for women in business or women in professional situations to support one another, enthusiastically. Sometimes there's stuff that creeps in that I don't always have room for in my brain. Because I like to be a cheerleader for others, and I've always appreciated that you've been such a great encourager and cheerleader for us. So thank you for that.
Well, the work that you've done, Michelle, I was thinking about it when I got your text about what Senator Murkowski's doing, and I thought to myself, Shana Ackles and I were sitting there, and I don't know if you know her, but they own the golf course out at Settlers Bay, and I said, Shana goes, she has been at that a long time. Good for them. So it was exciting news.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to try to make this short so we don't take too much of your time. But when we're talking about the My House story and that parallel path from Kristan's Home of Hope, what made you want to start that? What motivated you?
It's funny. It just gave me the chills when you said both of our names. Well, what motivated me is that when you told me, and at the time it was only 800, I say only, that there were 800 children in the Mat-Su Valley that were homeless. And that didn't include, that included school age mostly only, that you could actually count.
Right.
And I was thinking to myself, as you know, I found myself in the same situation at the age of 12. And that was back, in the early 70s, where social services for that sort of thing really didn't exist, at least not at the level that I even knew it was something that was available. And I thought, if Wasilla, Alaska has 800, every community has children that are homeless. And I said, so I was actually talking to John Maxwell about it, kid you not. And I said, John, I wish I could help everyone. And he said this, and it was really powerful for me. He said, do for one what you wish you could do for many.
Love that.
And when he said that, I thought, then, I want to start with my hometown, and make the difference in my hometown before I ever try to make a difference anywhere else. So that's what really started it. And as you know, Kristan's Home of Hope, we just made a decision to donate, to take a portion of every commission that comes in through our real estate office and pool it into a fund. And then then we would, it's a whole lot better that you get a chunk of money than $35 here and there. And I remember the first biggest check we ever wrote was after you guys got robbed.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah. And we wrote a check to you for $5,000, and Marnie brought it over, and I said, Marnie, please let her know that it's not going to take care of everything, clearly, but at least maybe it'll get the kids through the hump while they figure out the insurance piece of it or whatever. And so I just felt like it started small,
Right.
right?
Right.
It started small. And then I remember at the next event that we did, our client party, I was donating a certain amount of money, and we had a client that was there that said, I will match it. And then it grew to that you asked if I would partner with you guys to raise a certain amount of money to get a matching grant. So what started super small with, $50 a transaction ended up being super big about 5 years later, which was we were able to raise $50,000 to help you get that matching grant. So for me, there's been nothing more joyful. I feel like I've done the easy part. Go raise the money. You've done all the hard, heavy lifting, and it's just last summer when you did the ribbon cutting and everything, and I got to have a lot of my team members there and see that. They said it was so impactful for them to know that, they're part of something bigger. They're part of something that makes a difference. They're part of something that will leave a lasting legacy.
Yes.
And honestly, most people want to be part of something like that. So what started out super cerebral ended up super a big part of our culture, and everybody wants to get back to it. And the pandemic really kind of sidelined part of that for a while. So we're super thrilled we're going to be super purposeful about raising more money.
Oh, I love it. And when you think about, I know you have a whole philosophy around philanthropy, and what role does that play in your overall life? I love that you talk about being a hometown girl, because I can so relate to that. But I also love the idea of doing for one what you want to do for many, because I think that's the first step. And talk a little bit about that practice of philanthropy. And you're now in a nationwide network teaching that.
Right. Actually, I was just in California yesterday teaching this whole concept, and there were 125 people in the room. And what I love most about it is there were 3 teenagers. So I was teaching this to realtors, like how they can make an impact in their communities. And one of the realtors there had his 3 teenagers there. And afterwards, he asked his one son, his name is Peyton. He said, what was, obviously this was impactful for you. What was the most impactful? And he just said that he can see that this isn't something that you do once you succeed. This is something you do right along the way, and that everybody can play their part. And he said, well, how are you going to take action? And he said, I'm going to get into a relationship with Kristan Cole.
Oh, I love that.
And it just made me chuckle, because to have an impact on such a young man at such a young age, it really hit home for me. And then I'll tell you another piece. Shana Ackles is a hometown girl. She and I are in business in a consulting company that's a sister company to our real estate company. And this was our first year in business, and we earned a nice profit. And I sat down with her. I said, Shana, what would it look like if we bought a property together? And then she said, well, you and I are both super passionate about helping, whether it's young people who are homeless or adults that found themselves in addiction recovered. Like, those are our 2 big, big, big rocks. And she said, what would it look like if we bought an apartment building that would allow them, whether it's homeless youth or whether it is recovering addicts, a place, because you've seen what the housing market's doing, right?
Oh gosh, yes.
The rental market has even escalated even higher. Well, and we could offer them a way to actually, pay rent at a discounted rate, so that they can have a letter from the landlord saying, a good guy letter. But we could actually help them, because I know through everything that I worked with through Teen Challenge, the biggest issue is getting a job, after you've been an addict or a convicted felon from being a drug addict, to finding housing that you can afford on the first job that you get.
Right.
So it really is. So it just blows my mind again. It's like, here we are, we're going to take the profit from our our business, and we're going to buy something in Wasilla to support that end. And so you say, what does it mean to me? Today, you can only buy so much stuff, Michelle. Like,
Right.
how much stuff can you buy? And you get to a point where I see the biggest challenge for people is they get to a point that I think is super dangerous, and that's where they're successful enough that they're good, and so they kind of become complacent, rather than saying, okay, well, great, you've taken care of your family and maybe your extended family, but what about the people that don't have that? How can you now take some of your profits and pour into those people that haven't had that same opportunity? So much so, I'll tell you one other little thing. I have another business partner, and he and I run a call center, but now the ISAs that are, which would typically be housed in a call center, are now doing it from home. And
Oh,
I hope you'd be delighted to hear that 4 of the 5 of them are convicted felons because of drugs.
oh,
And
fantastic.
we've given, these are people, the 10%ers, or however you want to say it, that have done the hard work, acknowledging and going back and fixing and now need a job. And so we don't know what we're going to call the program, but we want to come up with a cool name for it, because these people sometimes see themselves as damaged goods, and they're not damaged goods. They just
No.
made a bad choice.
Yep.
And now they're making good choices. And how can we help them? So those are 2 examples. It's really part of my entire life. It honestly is. And we're always looking for, well, what, how can we employ them in our business? How can we find housing? And so it really helps us think differently. And the cool thing is, Michelle, is it just keeps us, we all of us spend way too much time thinking about ourselves, honestly. And so for me, the opportunity of maybe some of the life experiences I've gone through is that it causes me to stop thinking about myself and thinking about how we can partner with organizations like yours to make our communities better and to help people that, through no fault of their own, children don't end up that way because of them, typically, right? Through no fault of their own, end up in a situation like that. And we owe it to our community to step up.
I so love that, Kristan. We know from the data that we've collected here that 77% of the clients we serve leave home not because of their own situation, but because of someone else's drinking, drug use, domestic violence, or a step parent that doesn't want them. And that just speaks to what you're saying. It takes a whole community. That really, to me, is the essence of community. When you get to a point where your basic needs are met and you have nice things and you're happy with your life, I feel like it's part of being a wonderful community when we can all come together and help others. And I also think that keeps us from getting dissatisfied with our life. I think sometimes people get dissatisfied with their life in midlife or, later in life because they feel like they don't have a purpose. And I really feel like the philanthropy piece gives people purpose and a connectedness to a community that they care about that nothing else can do. Nothing else can do what you're describing.
I absolutely agree with you. And it's interesting. It's not just people who have succeeded that are looking for purpose, but a lot of the young people today, the 20 to 30-year-olds, that's way more important to them than how much money they're making. Way more important.
And they want to be part of something that matters. They want to be part of that solution and part of the community. And I really think that's when you're talking about coming out of COVID, I think that's part of what all of us are hungry for, is that reconnecting and being with our people, being with people that care, teaching those young people, those teenagers that are part of your audience, how what to do with those feelings of caring for others and wanting to be part of a community that cares. And I'm so, can I just say, I'm so proud of what you're doing, because I know that you're out there being an ambassador for for doing good and continually reaching back and bringing people with you. I love that.
Well, that's very, very kind of you to say. And, um, uh, um, but I would just say that when we started partnering together, what it did for me is it just, when you start small and then you add little bit by little bit, all of a sudden your mind starts to think about, well, I mean, who would ever thought, 10 years ago that it would be what it is today?
Right.
But there's a lot of people that participate along the way to make it happen. There's just it has to happen with and through other people. There's no way any one person can make all of this happen by themselves, and it's not meant to be that way anyway. It's not meant that some one person can go do it all on their own. I think that's part of it too. There becomes a community within the people that are trying to help the overall community. And there's just been a lot of people along the way that I think have really spoken to me too, and wanted and have partnered with both you and I in positive ways to make things happen, because they believed in the program too, and they saw the difference in the city. They saw the difference, and they I remember the mayor telling us that we were helping them solve a problem in the city as well. So while I wish I was that smart to know that all these pieces together were going to have this bigger impact, as you start to participate over time, you start to see it, and you realize that the concentric circles and are massive. Like, there's so many things that it starts to impact, and then other people want to come along and participate. Mm-hmm. So it's a really cool thing. I'm super glad that I had the opportunity to work with you on it.
Oh, thank you so much. It's there's a piece of this, and you mentioned the appropriation, that in the beginning I don't think I couldn't really wrap my brain around as an individual. Just thinking about like a My House strategic plan, for example. But as time went on, and what you're describing is sort of that momentum as time went on, and we worked together with different groups and organizations that did different pieces and parts of the work. It really became it's more than just My House. It's the community. It's the mayor being able to identify that by having this building here, we're able to reduce shoplifting at the grocery store, and crime and loitering. I mean, if you're around in the Mat-Su Valley, you see very, very few homeless youth. They're not panhandling on corners. They're not getting in trouble. They're not hanging out in places. We really try to provide fun things for them to do. And if they need help and support, that's where everybody kind of came together. And I don't think we could have visioned this if we had tried in the beginning. But what we've been able to do and grow together as a community, with sort of under the My House umbrella, has been amazing. And I'm so pleased that you and I have been able to work that together, and that you are teaching people the value of that, because it really can create momentum in other communities. This is how we change the world, right?
It is, and it actually set the class is Quantum Leap, world changer, and quantum doesn't mean what you think. It really means small. Start small, and then it becomes something big. But the other thing I would say is that I think the reason that this was as successful as it was is because you started by asking the right question. Why? Why is this important? Why are we doing this? Who do we want to become? The how and the what will follow after that, as long as you understand why are we doing this? Why is it important? Who are we wanting to become? When you cast a vision like that, when you have the answer to that and you start walking it out, the how and the what show up. But most people don't approach it like that because they're so results and goal oriented. Most people approach a problem like this in, what's the result we want?
Exactly.
And that is not a hard issue. That is just a quantifiable, okay, this is the result we want. But until you figure out why you want to do it and who this organization wants to become, you're going at it backwards.
Yep.
So then the how, as you start walking it out, starts to show up. And then the what, the end result that you actually want to see, the change naturally starts to happen. But most people work at it backwards and don't understand why it's not working.
That is so true. That is so true. As we kind of wrap up here, Kristan, I don't want to take advantage of your time because you were so gracious to spend some time with us today. And as we wrap up, what advice would you give to somebody who, or what programs are you working on that we can help you share that would help others develop that passion or that emotion, the motivation?
I would say, every community has you have to be super careful. And why do I say that? If get involved in a charity that has become self-sustaining, meaning if they can't become self-sustaining within 5 years, you might want to choose a different charitable organization to be part of. And so I like getting involved, like I did with you, with people who already have skin in the game. They're not coming to me with no skin in the game asking me to help. They've already have a lot of skin in the game and are coming to me for maybe the particular gift that I might have that I could play my part. Those are the people I want to be involved with. So if you're looking like what could I be involved with? And so I would just say this: Kristan's Home of Hope, think of it as almost an organization that is only a funnel. So we get involved like this not because we're actually doing the doing. You guys are doing all the doing. It's to raise money for really worthy charities so that we can support them. And so whether it's the events that we do, or like yesterday going to California and teaching that class about how they can go out and do the same things, the profit that we get from having those big events, we donate all to charity. But we're super careful about the charities we choose, because there's a lot of charities out there that 75% of the money goes to admin and only 25% to the kids. Or
Right.
so I'd say just look at the charity you want to be involved with and ask yourself this question. Number one, do they have skin in the game? Number two, are they creating a self-sustaining environment for that charity? And you guys are, with your coffee shop, with your clothing store. I mean, that's exactly what you've done. You wanted to teach the kids how to take care of themselves and not just get a handout, but like you say, a hand up. So I'd say those are the most important things. Is when getting involved and wanting to help, get involved with organizations that are making a difference and that are becoming self-sustaining and are helping the people they're serving become self-sustaining.
Love it. Love it. That's perfect. Kristan, thanks so much for taking your time today. I appreciate you so much, and not because you've donated thousands of dollars, but because you have the soul of a giver and you understand what we're doing from the inside out, and have been such a great advocate, an ambassador for the demographic we serve, not just in our community, but all across the country. And so thank you for all you do. Thank you for your sweet, sweet spirit, and for walking this walk with us for over 10 years. Appreciate you.
Well, it's my honor, and that that I just would say it has been a joy to be able to participate with you, and I'm excited about the next chapter because it's not over. And I would just want to say one more thing to anybody listening. Like I said, when John Maxwell say, "Do for one what you wish you could do for many," everybody can play a part, and don't think because you think your part's small that it doesn't matter. It does matter, because collectively it's big, and no one can do this themselves or on their own. And it has made a massive difference in our community. And I'm super, super proud of all the hard work you guys have done. And it just makes me super happy that there is a place for homeless children so that they don't get lost out there like my brother and I did. And I'm just super grateful that I get to be part of this solution. to what was a very big problem. So thank you for that, and I appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you. I look forward to the next stage.
Absolutely.
That's all the time we have for today. I'd like to thank our guest, Kristan Cole, for being with us, and to let you know that the My House podcast is recorded at the My House studio in Wasilla, Alaska. And thank you to our producer and editor, Isaac Smolden. I'm Michelle Overstreet, and until next time.